Some cars are simply driven, others become legends, not because of their speed or their price, but because of the stories they carry, hidden away in forgotten garages, left beneath decades of dust, or silently surrendering to rust. These machines seemed destined to disappear forever. One was a 1964 Ford Mustang, abandoned for 23 long years after a heartbreaking chapter in its owner's life. Two others were legendary Lamborghini Miura's icons that once defined the dream of the supercar, only to be left to decay by time itself. To most people, they looked like nothing more than scrap metal, but every layer of rust concealed a masterpiece, every damaged panel preserved a piece of history, and every forgotten engine was waiting for one more chance to roar back to life. Restoration is about far more than replacing worn-out parts. It is the art of preserving engineering, the patience to recover what others have already given up on, and the determination to transform the impossible into reality. Today, you'll witness three extraordinary journeys, three forgotten legends, three incredible transformations, from heartbreaking abandonment to meticulous craftsmanship to breathtaking rebirth. This is more than restoration. This is the return of automotive history. Welcome to Restoration Fact T2.
She broke down. I know, I'm so sorry. Not my car.
For 23 years, this car never moved. Not once. After her husband died, she couldn't even bring herself to open the garage door. The Mustang stayed exactly where he left it, covered in dust, covered in rust, covered in memories. Most people said it was junk. Some even suggested selling it for scrap. But one mechanic saw something nobody else could see. And what happened next would leave an entire room in tears. Because by the end of this story, it wasn't just a car that got restored. Something much bigger came back to life. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about why some things become incredibly valuable while others get thrown away. And here's something I've noticed. The biggest financial mistakes people make aren't always bad investments. Sometimes they're the opportunities, memories, and assets they give up on because they look broken. Today, you're going to see one of the most powerful examples of that I've ever come across. But before we get to the restoration, you need to understand why nobody touched this Mustang for more than 2 decades. Every neighborhood has one. That house, that garage, that thing people stop noticing because it's been there forever. For years, neighbors drove past this garage without giving it a second thought. Inside sat a 1964 Mustang. And not just any Mustang. This was her husband's Mustang. The car he'd spent years restoring, polishing, driving, loving. Every Saturday morning he could be found in that garage, coffee in one hand, tools in the other. To him, the Mustang wasn't transportation. It was freedom. It was pride. It was a piece of himself. Then one day, everything changed. He passed away unexpectedly. And overnight, the Mustang became something completely different. It wasn't a hobby anymore. It became a reminder, a painful one. So she closed the garage and left the car exactly where it was. What nobody realized was that time was quietly creating a problem. And when a mechanic finally opened the hood years later, she discovered something that nearly ended the project before it even started. Quick question. Have you ever kept something because throwing it away felt like losing a piece of someone you loved?
I just miss him
Keep
so
that
much.
thought in mind,
No, we're here for
because
you.
that's exactly why this story
We
becomes so
love you.
powerful. When the female mechanic first heard about the Mustang, she expected the usual: flat tires, dead battery, rust,
So, I was thinking about
maybe
what
a
you said.
seized engine.
Oh yeah? What about
What
it?
she
I
found
think you're
was
onto
much
something.
worse.
Really?
Years of moisture had eaten away at critical components. Parts were missing, others had completely failed. At first glance, Restoring the car looked financially ridiculous. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because after
We
researching
should
the
take the
vehicle,
car out. That
she
thing,
discovered
it barely
something
runs.
shocking.
Come on, it'll be
If
fun.
restored correctly, this forgotten Mustang could be worth more than many brand new luxury vehicles. But that wasn't the reason she continued. The real reason had nothing to do with money. And you'll understand why when you see the widow's reaction later. Most restoration projects fail for one simple reason. People underestimate how hard the middle becomes. The beginning is exciting, the ending is rewarding. The middle is brutal, and that's exactly where this project nearly died. Weeks turned into months. Bills piled up, unexpected problems kept appearing. Every time one issue was solved, another one emerged. Then came the discovery that nearly ended everything. One critical component was so damaged that replacing it would cost thousands of dollars. For a moment, it looked over, the kind of moment where most people walk away, but the mechanic didn't, because she had already realized something most people hadn't. This Mustang wasn't really about a Mustang anymore. Here's something crazy. Most people think value comes from what something is. In reality, value often comes from what something means. And that's exactly what made this project different. Slowly, the impossible started becoming possible. The frame came back to life. The suspension returned. The engine began taking shape, piece by piece. Week after week, month after month, until eventually the rusted shell disappeared. And something extraordinary emerged. For the first time in decades, the Mustang looked exactly the way her husband remembered it. But nobody was prepared for what would happen next. Finally, the day arrived. The widow was invited to see the completed restoration. She thought she was coming to look at an old car. She wasn't. As the cover came off, time seemed to stop. Suddenly, she wasn't seeing rust. She wasn't seeing metal. She wasn't seeing an engine. She was seeing
This
memories.
one was your father when he was young. He looks
She
so
was
different. I
seeing
never
road
knew that.
trips, weekend drives, conversations, laughs, moments she thought were gone forever. And then she broke down crying. Not because the Mustang was beautiful, not because it was valuable, but because for one brief moment, it felt like her husband had returned. Everyone in the room felt it. Even the mechanic, even the people recording. Nobody expected the emotional weight of that moment. And here's what most people don't realize. This story isn't actually about a Mustang. It's about value. The kind of value that never appears on a price tag. The kind that can't be measured by market prices. The kind that survives decades. Because the most valuable things in life often look worthless from the outside. Old cars, old photographs, old houses, relationships, dreams, even people. Sometimes the greatest mistake isn't throwing away something valuable.
Hey, want to
It's
take the
failing to
Mustang for a spin?
recognize its value
Yeah,
before
let's
it's
go.
gone.
All right.
The restored Mustang was worth thousands of dollars. But that's not what mattered most. What mattered was giving someone a piece of their life back. A memory, a connection, a reminder that some things are worth saving, even when everyone else says they aren't. And maybe that's the lesson. Not just for classic cars, but for all of us, because sometimes what looks broken is actually priceless.
world of classic automobiles, some cars become legends, others become myths, but few machines changed automotive history forever like the Lamborghini Miura. Introduced in 1966, the Miura shocked the world. Its revolutionary mid-engine layout would become the blueprint for every modern supercar that followed. Yet today, one of these rare masterpieces sits abandoned, silent, forgotten, waiting for nearly half a century. Beneath decades of dust rests a 1967 Lamborghini Miura P400, finished in an original green factory color. Its paint is faded, its tires have collapsed, its mechanical systems have not moved for years. But remarkably, the car appears complete. Every curve still reflects the genius of Bertone's design. Every panel tells a story frozen in time.
Then perhaps you're the right person to save her. I've admired Miuras my entire life. This isn't simply a car, it's a piece of automotive history.
The decision is made. The Miura will leave its longtime resting place. Not for auction, not for display, but for preservation, a second chance. For one of Italy's greatest masterpieces. Slowly, the Miura emerges from the shadows. For the first time in decades, sunlight touches its paint, dust dances through the air, and the resurrection begins.
Lower the ramps. Watch the front balance. Easy. Keep the winch tension constant.
Every movement must be calculated. The aluminum body panels are irreplaceable. The chassis has not carried its own weight in years. One mistake could cause irreversible damage. Back at the workshop, the technical evaluation begins. The body remains surprisingly straight. However, corrosion is present throughout the lower structure. The braking system is seized. Fuel lines have deteriorated.
Right there, just above
Rubber
the exhaust.
components
I see
have
it.
hardened with
Looks
age.
like a minor seep,
The
but
original
worth
Weber
documenting.
carburetors require complete rebuilding. Yet underneath the neglect, the Miura remains astonishingly original. Using laser alignment equipment, technicians evaluate the chassis geometry. Measurements
check
reveal
the
only
suspension
minor
joints.
deviations.
The
A
rust here is
remarkable
minimal.
result
Good.
considering
Mark it for
decades of
detail. Mark it for
inactivity.
detailing.
The backbone of the car survives, strong enough to support a full restoration, strong enough to return to the road. Every component is documented, photographed, cataloged, preserved. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is discarded without careful evaluation. The objective is not modernization.
This rust is
The
deep,
objective
but we're
is
getting there.
authenticity.
Yeah,
To
keep the-
preserve as much of the original Miura as possible. Decades of moisture have left their mark.
Corrosion pénétrate suspension mounte.
Surface oxidation covers numerous components. Technicians carefully remove damaged material, millimeter by millimeter, layer by layer, revealing solid metal beneath. The process is painstaking, but necessary. Attention now turns to the legendary V12, the engine that helped define an era. Compression testing reveals promising results. Internal damage appears limited. Complete rebuild begins. Bearings, seals, gaskets, fuel delivery, cooling system, everything renewed, everything restored. The body is prepared for paint. Panel gaps are measured repeatedly. Every contour is checked. Every surface refined. The goal is perfection. Not better than factory. Exactly as factory.
The original green finish returns.
And
Deeper,
finally,
richer,
the moment we've
yet
all waited
faithful
for.
to
The
1967.
culmination of countless
The Miura
hours
once again
revealed
looks
in
exactly
stunning detail.
as its creators intended.
Months of restoration, thousands of hours, countless technical challenges, all leading to this moment. Before us stands a fully restored Lamborghini Miura P400, not merely repaired, reborn. The V12 comes alive. Its unmistakable sound fills the workshop, a sound absent for decades. The clutch engages. The Miura moves forward, for the first time in years, not as a relic, not as a museum piece, but as a living machine, exactly as it was meant to be. The legend returns.